Hi and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Monday, November 15th, 2021, and today's topic is called Sky Gem Memory. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening November 6th through the 12th, 2021, and this is show number 130. And before I get into sky observations, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, kedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobrohonya, 안녕하세요, 보아타지, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, hurenda, and good day. Now, this time around, we've got not only the greetings from around the world combined with the words, wisdom, and spirit of the day page, but we've got a fascinating take on what I normally do, and you're going to see why in the next two slides. It all has to do with the topic of Lemuria, and whether you're new or returning to this channel, a heartfelt thanks to you. Thanks for being here. If you have seen any of my previous shows, you know that I start off with something about nature, possibly some crystals, and lately I've been pulling occasionally some cards from different decks. Now, in this case, I was guided to pull from the Oracle of Hidden Worlds deck by Lucy Cavendish and artwork by Gilbert Williams. And what came up kind of surprised me because I knew, at least consciously, very little to nothing about Lemuria, and it's card number 5, The Relics of Lemuria, Fragments, Memory, Reclaiming. And so, as usual, if I'm not really familiar with something, I do a little search around and on the internet. I do not look at things like Wiki, that is filled with partial truths. And so I like to look at different people around the world who have different shops, especially in the way of crystals and gemstones, because some of the definitions offered there about the vibrations of some of these things are just extraordinary. And in this case, I happened upon one that really stood out to me more than most. And this one, I happened upon some beautiful passages, writings by her, Kelly Brown, and channelings that she did over at sacredgemstone.com, and that's all one word. And she has over there high vibration crystals and gems and minerals. She has gemstone cabochons, handmade jewelry, crystal energy grids and kits. She even does intuitive crystal readings and does custom crystal grids, all in her beautiful shop. And just the way she presents the crystals, you can tell she's extremely connected. So I highly recommend that everyone go check that out. She's got a great blog heading. She's got other headings that are just, you could just dive into those for quite a while. A blog, she talks about crystal energies, stone meanings. There's a crystal guide, how to cleanse crystals, and even program them. So anyway, take a beautiful look over there because all I'm going to cover on this show today are just little, excerpts. And even those seem long, but she has so much more over there that's so worthwhile checking out. So anyway, I'm just going to read from the companion book to this Oracle of Hidden Worlds, a little excerpt about this card number 5, and then we're going to get into all of the fascinating things by Kelly Brown. So here we go. When this card comes to you, take a moment to give thanks to the earth, to soften into the world, to notice the plants and their languages, the birds and their song, the intertwining of all that is, and know that you are a part of the beauty that is all around us. Reconnect and recommit to your own reclaiming of power. Allow the senses to extend and to feel the world in a deeper, more intuitive way. The lost books of Lemuria are written into your DNA, and when you recall, even for a moment, all that you are, its energy is reactivated in this world today, no longer as memory, but as true, enduring abilities that once recollected can be reclaimed and reactivated in gentle, inspiring ways. Now, before coming into these other wisdoms that we're going to see ahead, I thought, okay, this is it. So what do I talk about Lemuria? And so I just pulled some crystals that I have from my own collection, just some rough yellow jasper, chrysocolla, and some kind of amazonite, and some kind of matrix. And I thought, okay, what are we going to cover? So I do have plenty coming up in the next two slides. But I thought I just had to smile when I looked at this image because I just was reminded of when I had my first initial kind of shocking moment of a great awakening back in 2010. And that was a time where I did seek out spiritual advice or spiritual connectedness, let's just say, from people around in the community who are very gifted in that way. And I was happily connected up with this one woman who told me something that reminds me of the image on this card. So she said, most people, or many people anyway, they look out over like an ocean or the water ahead of them and they see stepping stones. And they maybe see like 5 or 6 ahead. And, so they, move forward in that way. She goes, but not with you. And I'm thinking, oh, great. She says, no, with you, it's like, you're on a stone and you only can go forward when the next one starts to emerge up out of the water. And then she says, nope, wait a minute, that's not it. She goes, nope, it's more like you are on the stone as it's coming up out of the water. So you're not really meant to see anything ahead. You're meant to just see with the physical eyes. You're meant to see it, internally or feel it through. And I'm like thinking, oh boy, this is going to be one incredible ride ahead. And it really has been. So anyway, if you're in any part of an awakening, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're not yet, I have a feeling you're probably soon to be if you found this channel. Anyway, let's get into some more amazing let's say, imparts about Lemuria. So once again, I'm just going to say it because I've recorded this so many times and I don't remember how much or how accurately I presented things. But again, go visit Kelly Brown, her writings and channelings, and her beautiful things that she offers on her shop at sacredgemstone.com. This is just a beautiful image coming from her, and it's clear quartz and other crystals. And so there we go. So now this is just excerpts. Keep in mind the full passage is so well worth going to go and check it out from her blog. So this is called Remembering Lemuria, Channeled Messages from Lemuria, Connecting to Lemurian Quartz Crystal Consciousness, channeled from Bab, one of the great Lemurian mothers, High Priestess of Mu, posted July 2nd, 2021. So my understanding, the only limited understanding I had about Lemuria, and forgive me if I repeated this again, I've had to record the show a few times for many reasons, but my only understanding of Lemuria was that it was a civilization or a collective, maybe a galactic collective, happening prior to and or maybe concurrent with Atlantis. That's really all I consciously knew about it. So we're going to get into even some more interesting insights about it right now. So I quote, "We are being remembered here now, in the coming of a new age, to return to a state of natural order and reverence of earth, energy, and all creation. In Lemurian times, all needs were met. We knew no fear, no insecurity, no concept of not enough, for all we knew was abundance. The Lemurians worked with plants and minerals. They were multidimensional and received knowledge from star systems. Now, they talk about 5D. Pleiadians taught them knowledge of herbs, plants, seeds, and flower essences. 6D, meaning dimension. Syrians taught them how to use gemstones, crystallized minerals, and thought projection, healing and storing information like computer hard drives. 7D, Andromedans, taught the Lemurians fungi systems, mold, and bacteria networks. Even if your soul did not experience a lifetime in Lemuria, we are all connected to Lemurian consciousness, as we are all part of Earth's story. Through resonating, meditating with Lemurian quartz crystals, we can activate our light bodies, remember our ancient star origins, and access higher cosmic consciousness to assist our ascension journey. As you awaken and remember life in Lemuria, your perceptions will begin to change, beliefs alter to deeper understand your purpose. You may feel a detachment or indifference towards money, or no longer feel any sense of obligation or desire to make money. You may feel the desire to eat lighter foods and notice a change in sleeping patterns, either needing a lot of extra sleep, 10 or more hours, or needing very little sleep, 4 hours or less, and possibly alternating between these. These are all common changes that accompany awakening and activation and indicate cycles of detoxification, purging and purification, a cleansing mind, body, and spirit to raise your frequency and activate your light body. You remember Lemuria and have awakened your cosmic memory. You are learning to activate your light body and connect to cosmic consciousness, gaining insight from your highest self, downloading your cosmic history and galactic origins, integrating your starseed mission, and aligning with your highest purpose in this 3D Earth timeline you agreed to experience." So this is just one excerpt from a beautiful, beautiful, exquisitely put together here channeling. Now, I totally resonate here. It really clicks with me. This part about the eating habits and the sleep, I have absolutely been experiencing this. And if you are too, there's so many ascension symptoms. Take a look at those as well. Look those up that are happening to a lot of us these days, and it has nothing to do with like your age. I thought at first that maybe this is just because I'm entering into new decades here on the planet, but it really is a part of the awakening. in ascension. So anyway, we're going to move into more messages of Lemuria, and again, excerpts from Kelly Brown of sacredgemstone.com. The Lemurians, and sorry, this is also a beautiful photo of hers from her shop. And again, thank you, Kelly, for your kind permission to include all of this wonderful information. So the Lemurians utilized sound and water to achieve advanced abilities such as telepathy and teleportation. One of the reasons the Syrians and Pleiadians were so interested in Earth is because of Earth's water. Lemuria, Quartz, Crystal Healing Tools, and the New Earth, posted April 4th, 2020. My dream. This is just an excerpt from it. I had a beautiful dream and channel come through last night on March 2nd, 2020. I was in Lemuria, but it was the future. The Earth and Collective ascended to 5D, and Lemuria, or what felt like Lemuria, was back and thriving. People were having a hard time adjusting because everyone still remembered how it used to be. We were now crystalline light bodies. We did not need food or water. Money no longer existed, so people didn't know what to do with their time. We all had everything we needed, and were in a new state of pure love and bliss. So that sounds good to me, and this is actually reminding me of what I posted on one of my earlier shows, an amazing QHHT quantum healing hypnosis technique video by Allison Coe on YouTube, and it was called After the Event, and it was not channeled, sorry, that's actually the opposite. It was tapping into the superconscious of her clients, and it was a pattern forming of many clients were starting to see some of the things described here. And it's, the sentiment that Kelly's including in this, in the dream, is absolutely what I've been feeling my entire life. And I have, very visible, what I want to say, not visible, but very vivid memories of being 6 or 7 and just totally feeling everything that was written right there about why are we having money there, just living in a happy state with no money and just, being really happy. Anyway, to go on with some of the excerpts from Kelly's site, crystals are keys to doorways leading to truths. And she covers all about the high vibration quartz crystal tools, Lemurian quartz. So I just want to mention some of these properties about Lemurian quartz, and specifically because that is the theme this go round on these Words, Wisdom, and Spirit of the Day pages. So for this Lemurian quartz, we've got high vibration quartz crystals. Exhibit horizontal step ladder lines on the sides of the crystal. These lines represent records of information encoded in the quartz from ancient Lemuria, cleansing and clearing negative energy and thought patterns, drawing in divine healing light from the universe, accessing ancient knowledge, spiritual tool for self-healing and empowerment, healing and understanding one's past, focuses one's intention and brings clarity to inner visions, awakening and accessing higher consciousness. Chakras, it applies for all. Anyway, do, as I've mentioned, go dig around a little bit more on this beautiful site, sacredgemstone.com, and you can, be awakened to even some more wonderful information. So let's now get into the sky observation portion of the show. I am starting on November 6th here, and again, welcome to everyone. Thank you for being here. If you are new, I'm just going to touch on a very brief version of what I'm doing here. I invite you to look at some previous shows to, find out a little bit more. But I'm basically just going around on my daily business, night or day, usually generally in the area of Miami, Florida, and I'm looking up at the skies, and I'm noting some significant and increasing anomalies happening there. And in terms of what is showing up on any given time frame when I do these shows, back in 2018, I had a pretty unusual encounter in a divine way that just told me, hey, you've got to start looking up and share what you're finding. So that's what I'm doing. Now, actually, this show, it's kind of funny, in keeping with the Lemurian theme. A lot of these images, even if it, regardless if the light was going dim towards sunset or whether it was like 2 in the afternoon, there was a heavy veiling throughout the atmosphere this time around, a lot of particulate, and it just, made my images look a little, let's just say, like dreamlike, a little more blurry and bitmappy than usual. They just didn't seem to quite grab and focus as well, which is really strange because the photos after it, are going to be more crisp. But anyway, that's just a little aside. So I just take some photos, and sometimes I can see stuff with the naked eye. Sometimes I just sense there's something there worth taking. And what I do is I take the image, and I'll show you in the next slide, and I enhance it. And what that means is that I take the image and I edit attributes of it, such as color, saturation, brightness, contrast, things of that nature, and pull out, better highlight what I think or sense is going on or see is going on in any given photo. So in this case, we're noticing different things like, color signatures, movements of things. There'll be some things going straight horizontal, and then some things will even go at a right angle, and that just doesn't happen in natural cloud systems. We'll also start looking at things like pure geometrical forms, like a perfect equilateral triangle or a hexagonal form. There's so many oddities that are showing up in the skies these days. So anyway, I'm just documenting it, and I'm going to go back a second. And so in the title in the corners, I just say strange cloud activity in quotes, and the cloud in quotes is referring to cloaking craft being present or suspected cloaking craft. And I'll refer to the cloaking material as plasma, something like that. It just means something heavier and denser than water vapor that can linger around in the atmosphere far longer and clings to objects and does a great job at cloaking. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say for now, other than I also drop in letters just to help keep me focused and make sure I don't miss anything big. But as I say in other shows, I am recording this and narrating it on a laptop format, laptop screen. And so that's one level of perspective of things that I'm seeing, which is completely different oftentimes when I'm looking at a thumbnail image of it. So I invite everybody, if you have the beautiful fortune to have both a laptop and a handheld device, smaller device at your disposal, I recommend that you have both of them running at the same time when you watch the show, and just toggle your view up and down between both occasionally, because you'll see so many different things when you do that. So I have a little disclaimer. If there's something huge that I skip over, it's not intentional. It's just my eyes might be drawn to more detail than the bigger picture, and vice versa, so to speak. All right, all that said, let's get into the sky observations here. So I'm looking to the west toward evening, and again, that's why it's going to be a little grainy and bitmappy on my camera. I have an old Android camera phone is what I take all of his images on, by the way. And so I'm just noticing things are choppy and fuzzy, even to the naked eye, though, and I call that effect staccato cloud effect. I believe I'm the only one that coined it. To me, it just means something that's choppy and dissonant. It's a musical term, but that's what it felt right to me to call. So call it. So anyway, I just noticed we've got some straight lines coming at the bottom of these things. Weird cutouts and forms that just seem too regimented and designed to be, a haphazard, normal, natural forming cloud. So we take a look at the enhanced version just to see what else I can draw out. Here we still have a very, rigid long form here. And I don't know if this is all part of one at E.1 or 2 or 3 or more separate little entities here. But then this also looks like it could be some type of craft with a very pointed, I would call that the bow, a very pointed form, and it looks like something is just springing off the front of this thing. So we got a cloud of movement, implying some movement just happened, and that's why I think D.1 is a little craft in and of its own right. Something strange starts to emerge here where we have a triangular form. Maybe it's a truncated triangle, maybe it's just covered with cloak and you don't see the tip. But all of this is so strange. And also looking at the color signatures, the sunset is supposedly happening over here where it's kind of bright white, unnaturally white and yellow. But yet we have this really vibrant red-pink, emerging right here. So do look at the description box below for what could be causing this red-pink color signature. I have a few theories there, and you may come up with more of your own as well. Anyway, we're going to zoom in on that one element where it looked like something was just springing apart from the other. And that's really all I get, again, because I've got a little more grain than usual graininess in the photos. But you still can see that this even looks symmetrical in its oddness. But, again, straight lines all over the place here. And if this were a natural moving cloud system in South Florida, where I'm at, it's subtropical to tropical temperatures, you wouldn't have something straight coming across like this and then something diving down like that in a natural cloud system. Okay, now here's looking at the overall scene one more time. We're going to look over at the C.4 element. And then here we go. I couldn't really draw too much more out, but just kind of studying more like the overall view and just some oddities and strange movements and choppiness happening in the scene. We'll get clearer examples of things coming up. So this was strange because this was looking west at 3 in the afternoon, and it really is literally the odd man out. This was the only thing looking to the west. And it was very low in the atmosphere as well, in the sky. And so the more I looked at it, it was just starting to look more and more strange. So with more enhancement and zooming in, look at this. This looks like a straight line. These look like little sticks poking up out of here. So I'm calling this a cloak and craft, and that these are machine parts at B, at C, at D, and I'm not sure what this is, if this is ejecting out of this thing or coming up to it, but highly strange and not at all a typical cloud. This scene, not only do we have the crescent moon and a planet, I'm assuming Venus, but now we look at the color signature. We've got so many warm reds and pinks. Just really strange how we've got like this demarcation line too, so straight. Anyway, it was interesting as an image, and I'm not sure what's going on again with those color signatures. Look at the description box below for ideas on that. Then here on the left we have the original, on the right we have the enhanced version, and I just saw very clearly straight line, straight line, straight line. We've got a symmetrical triangle here, and possibly up in here something bigger is going on where it's darker. I'm going to leave this to you to look more on your own, and a lot of these images I'm only going to be able to cover a little bit for time's sake on the show, and the more you look, the more you're going to find on any given photo. This one is looking east. We had a strange cloud pattern forming again for this temperature and no wind and just strange formation for this area. And I started looking at where the sun, quote unquote sun, is supposed to be, and do look at some of my previous shows talking about artificial sun, solar simulator, and the like. And then notice there's something darker happening in the middle of this, and some strange line in here too. So we're going to look with enhancement, and wow, we see a big red-pink ball happening in here, and all of this is like swooping in as camouflage so that we don't see what's really going on with our quote-unquote sun these days. And so look at this, it's just so unnaturally white, and then we've got red signatures. We see a little bit more of the yellow, so I think that's where our original sun is coming up, and this solar simulator is in front of it and gets really big and expands with a glaring white intense artificial light to obscure what's happening beyond with our natural sun. Again, that's the whole concept of the solar simulator. Patents pulled for it back in the 1960s, probably prior. Anyway, have a dig around on that whole concept, but I do cover that in other shows. Have a look there, and as I always say, please go look at other Earth and sky watching channels on YouTube, and look at other people just like myself making direct observation at a lot of strange things going on in the skies these days. All right, here's one more enhanced version, just kind of trying to get at different elements of what's going on in here. And we're going to zoom into 8.2 because it was just looking strange. Look at this. What the heck is this thing? That's not a cloud fragment. It's too precise. And it has a straight line. Here's a pure right angle over here. That's some type of tech or equipment. And then we have these weird circles. So again, I'm not sure if this is human-made tech or if we're talking about ET tech, but it's tech nonetheless that's in front of what's supposed to be the so-called sun these days. All right, then again we have this. This is what we were looking at before. And again, what caught my attention now too is that this was bright and glaring, almost like a pinpoint of bright light in and of its own right at D. And so I don't get it too much more, but if this were truly the sun, we wouldn't have a blast of pure white light down here as well over this much territory in the sky. So it's just very odd. Talking about more odd, I started to see triangular forms emerge in succession. And so we look to the right-hand side, and yes, we've got points of pure triangles happening in here. Other strange masses with cloaking over them. Here's a circular form. So as I always say, it would be incredible to just see these scenes without all the smoke and mirrors, so to speak, in front of them, take off all the cloak and see what we're dealing with. And this might be a form of soft disclosure, that people like me are being guided to see these things and, share them. And maybe, we will see something a little bit more in the future. Again, as I always say, nothing to fear here. If there was a bad vibe or something to fear, I would let you know, and I surely wouldn't be staying out here and taking pictures of this stuff. All right, more scenes here, just strangeness, and then I just saw this little triangular shape emerging, this weird little clearing in this other kind of mass puffy formation in the sky. And this just stood out from everything else. Look, we've got gray tones, even black things looking like they're obscured. And then all of a sudden we have this. So it looks like some other rigid form down here, something happening in here. Also, I just am catching it now. Look at this thing. Looks like a little capsule-shaped thing in and of its own right. Pure straight line. That's not a cloud fragment. Then we're going to zoom in one more time, and yes, we have like a triangular chunk here, cloaking. I'm not sure what's going on down here, but this whole scene is definitely highly suspect of craft activity. And then we're going to look here, and again, this is one of those, I want to say staccato cloud effect, but it's a little more than that, because see the tree is in focus, but yet all of this is really extra blurry from my normal staccato cloud effect findings. And again, it's got this almost weird, ethereal, dreamlike state to it. And it's because the particulate and whatever is going on in the sky is very heavy this day. But still, I was making out shapes that were being slightly backlit. And so I looked to the right at the enhanced version, and you can really see these shapes much better. Even here, it has a line going up across. It looks like it has depth to it, and maybe some little reflection and kind of rippled surface to it. So I really do strongly believe that these are independent, cloak and craft going on. Here you even see more of the cloaking material wafting in front. Really bizarre, especially when you look at the color signatures popping up as well. Okay, this one gets interesting. I started to see an object over at A, strange, coloration happening in here. And then we have this staccato effect happening up here. So I definitely wanted to see this with some enhancement. And here we go, a straight line here. I gotta believe that's cloak and craft, maybe even trailing vapor behind it. Look at this beautiful color signature happening at the edge of what's supposed to be the sun setting. And, just a lot of strangeness happening in this overall scene. And then here's it's slightly distorted, but it's a panorama looking to the west, and that's where we were just looking. So we get this interesting turbulence, forming, and that's not usual. We even have like a indentation, like a crater depression right there. Weird little like almond-shaped object happening in here, and just the color ranges are actually really beautiful on this one. Then we're going to look here, zooming in on that one element, and I'll go back a second. So we're going to zoom in into this portion over here to the right. And so we get this like curve, and then we get a triangular form happening. So we look to the right-hand side, and that's about all I could pull out. But it's just so strange to have something so significantly formed and on like an eyebrow arcing, and then something more triangular shaped above it. And again, looking at the color signatures happening all over the place here tells me there's absolutely, with a staccato, effect, choppy and blurry, some kind of craft is up there. And when I say it's choppy and blurry, that I'm suspecting cloak and craft up there, is because I think the craft itself, it's generating electromagnetic wave activity and sending it out to make everything intentionally choppy to hide and camouflage other objects up there. Or it's also just how this thing functions, and it just naturally creates disturbance by whatever's the power source is, or a combination of both. See what you think, though. And here we're just going to look a little more, now looking at the area off to the left, and we just see some strange things start emerging, and interesting color signatures, interesting shadow back here, whatever this thing is. Looks like an object, though. See what you think is happening. We're going to look at it one more time because it's just so fascinating. We get this kind of wave effect, like a wave crashing over, but then we get a straight line here, a little bit slightly curved. We get some strange object happening back in here. All of this is so fascinating. Here's that depression or the indentation. It could also be the end of a pipe, if we're looking at it this way. See what you think is going on there. All right, now we're going to go, sorry, I thought we were done with that, but we're going to go back over to the left where I saw that almond-shaped thing. And look, this is a perfectly formed pointed ellipse at the top. That curve is pure and true. The bottom does something else, but there's a straight line. It's a fascinating shape that looks like it absolutely has intelligent design to it. Also looks like we have maybe a triangular form zooming off here to the left. Something back there also maybe zooming off that way. See what you think is going on. I also make out a pipe, like a stick coming out of this thing. I'm absolutely calling that a cloak and craft. Okay, then we're going to look to the west, another little panorama here, just at some strange activity. Look at this movement. That doesn't happen in a natural cloud system, and certainly not this low in the atmosphere or in our skies over Miami. It's just truly bizarre. And how do we get a burst of, red-pink signature here, and then over here a little bit, and then pure white over here? It's just really fascinating. I'm going to leave this to you once again. Have a look on your own time, but look at this strange pattern. That's just not typical in a normal cloud system. And there was little to no wind movement also this day. So we're going to zoom into that strange pattern and just see if we can pick out, if that's a cloaking mechanism and pattern, to hide something else. So we look to the right, and we do kind of see, it looks like it could be concealing something. And then we get this strange thing coming straight down an angle with a clear line, even in front of this thing, I'm presuming. So it's just all really bizarre. Okay, then we're going to look to the northwest, and this was still looking all kind of fuzzy and dreamlike to the naked eye. And I started to see these two bands, concentric curves, and then something going off this way with a straight line this way. So once again, that cannot happen by typical physics of cloud movement, to have a sharp angle this way and then another one going in the opposite direction. And then I started to notice the little object here at sea. So we look at that with some enhancement, and this is the cover photo because we have a specific little object here. So that's also the little word play on the title as far as the sky. GemMemory is like a little gem in and of its own right. But we've got an object over here. It's very dark, and it has some wafting material over it, and it has a straight edge, very straight right here. And other weird things are kind of emerging in this scene. And again, the particulate here is so heavy, the veiling on this, that we really can't make out too much this go around. But this is really curious happening at C.1. And something is also happening down over here in this yellow golden territory. So the whole thing is fascinating. I have no idea what this big dark thing is also obscuring, with a sharp angle to it. See what you can find in there. And as always, I invite you, if you have any ideas of what we're seeing here, whether it's a fun, fantastical, outlandish view even, like in the vein of cloud play, or if you see something based in logic and reason and whatever, let me know in the comment section below if you like. If not, no big deal. All right, here we're just looking at more strangeness looking to the west. Look at this pattern. It's very structured, very specific over here at C. And so I thought, okay, let's look. And at B.1, we see a hard line with shadow to it with lighter areas at the top. We see an object kind of emerging here. And look, I mean, all these oddities. And really pay attention to the color signatures on this one. And then we're going to go zoom in. I changed the letters up back and forth. So we're going to go into this weird patterning. It was the letter C on the former slide. And then we see this. So again, this is not normal pattern. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just camouflaging technique on a craft or some byproduct of some waves being sent out from them. See what you think is happening here. I also see the edge of maybe a triangular shape kind of clinging on to whatever is happening here above. Okay, this one looks really actually beautiful, the movement and the coloration here to the right. And then what starts emerging is we have the edge of a pure white, blinding white, glaring white triangle. See the straight line here and here. And then we come down here and look at this. Look at these indentations and weirdness. And this looks like the outline down here of like maybe this is part of a craft, and this line here is demarcating a clear, what do I want to say, like camouflage. Like all of this is like a veil, and we're just seeing the part that's like dipping out of this other veil up here. That's what I see, but see what you think. It's really bizarre. This is one of those that if you have the smaller device to look at, you'll see more. And if you have a laptop screen, if you squint your eyes, you might detect more as well. Okay, this one gets really weird. Now we're in the afternoon looking northwest in the afternoon, but it still looks this dreamlike, weird, veiled particulate stuff. And look to the right, we see like a little individual craft. I mean, this looks like the top of a ship with like a little, I don't know what those things are called in a submarine, if you know what I mean. They, peek up out of the water surface, and we get some weird detailed patterning happening over here to the right. So we look at that, we're going to zoom in and look at this. It just looks too precise to be haphazard cloud. We have a hole in here. We have just strange things going on. I can't quite put my finger on it. But we're going to look in here one more time at D.3 and this, specific patterning happening here. And this is what we get. So this almost looks like now an object is emerging off the top of this thing, whatever it is. See what you think. We also get this red pink signature happening beyond. Okay, now this just looks strange. I just more had an intuitive feeling of something emerging here. And so we look at it with enhancement, and sure enough, something was there. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but that's not a natural cloud pattern whatsoever. And then look at this. Come on, somebody please tell me what this is. This was going overhead, streaking like a long band, but look at it. It's so regularized. It has straight edges, points to it even. A little bit more than a right angle, so an obtuse angle. But look at this thing. And then these come off at splay off at different angles and go straight. So that is in no way, shape, or form anything natural, but I can't quite tell you what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section below if you like. And we've got that red-pink signature right at the heart of all of it, so that tells me there's something artificial cloaking up in there and generating different color signatures. All right, here's another one that just was odd. Looking to the south, it's like, these two things that don't even look like any type of natural cloud form, and then something streaking across in a totally different direction. We look to the right, and again, these are just too odd, and these are not natural forming clouds. Okay, here looking at this one, again, some choppy activity, different color signatures, and what I really noticed was this pure triangular form off here to the left at A, and that's what I was really focusing on, because it was just like this pure independent form, clinging to this quote-unquote cloud, which means there has to be cloak and craft if it's sticking onto something. Okay, this too, a little fuzzy and bitmappy at night, but just strange forms that don't happen naturally in natural cloud systems. And some with some enhancement, we see some weird little, here's a triangular, pure triangular form. This, I don't know what that is, but it looks like it has intelligent design to it. And something happening up here at 8.1 that's very suspect of some type of cloak and craft. Once again, see what you can find in that image. Oh, I'm going to go back one. And look at these bright crystalline spots. And whenever I see these amidst a darker background or monochrome background, that tells me there's some type of intelligent design going on in the image. Okay, here's another one, a lot of choppiness floating around. We look to the right, and I see a triangular form at B.1, and again, just a lot of mystifying things going on in here. At C.1 as well. Looks like a pure form, like the arrow, like an arrowhead, with some cloaking material around it. Just really strange. Here's another one. We're going to take a look at all the choppiness, and it started to pull out this when we go to the enhancement. And again, there's so much particulate, and veiling and cloaking means that this is all we can get, but we still get this warmer signature ball form and just weird things coming off of it with straight edges and sharp angles. See what you think's going on in this one. And here's another form that start to look really weird. Can't quite explain this one either, but I'm suspecting that's cloak and craft. Natural cloud does not behave this way, nor look this way. And again, you don't have something going off on one angle and then coming down on quite another. Very interesting though, regardless. Here's another interesting one. I'm going to look on the right-hand side, a pure triangular form of light. Something else happening here. And this is so ethereal. I don't normally get these beautiful, occasionally I get the bright blue whites, but this goes deeper into indigos. Really beautiful. So I've got to say, it just feels like there's some type of cloak and craft up here and down here as well. And this might even be a trail, like it came in from somewhere, another dimension perhaps. Look at these little dots. They're equally spaced, or it's another craft coming in on the heels of this. See what you think. And this one is just interesting. So we get this rounded form. Actually, I had this roundish form, very similar, on the previous show. And then we have this strange shape happening on top of it that seems very rigid with a different type of cloaking, substance passing in front of it. And then we get this thing jutting out in a weird way. Just a lot of strange oddities in the scene as well. This looks like a very rigid form in here, like something, like almost looks like a capital letter H on angle. So to me, that has intelligent design. This might be a little vapor trail happening behind it, like it's zooming down into the scene. Something's happening in here for sure. I just can't tell you exactly what. There's a lot of cloak on it. See what you think. But again, how do we have a more typical looking cumulus cloud, even though that's not, forming so low in the sky? And then we have this on angle, this doing its own thing, this going more vertical. Again, that just doesn't happen in a normal system. D.1, it looks like we've got like a ring, form happening here as well. Maybe another one echoing here beyond. It's just all bizarre. What do you think? All right, we're just zooming in one more time. This is backlit, and just to see if we can get at anything else, and I just get more. This is just totally odd. I'm going to leave it there for now. All right, well, this is the photo of the day and the close of the show. We've got a beautiful lignum vitae, tree of life in bloom. It's the national tree of the Bahamas, and the wood on this thing is really hard. They even used it for a shaft on submarines. Anyway, just want to reiterate from the first slide, take a moment to give thanks to the earth, to soften into the world, to notice the plants and their languages, the birds and their song, the intertwining of all that is, and know that you are a part of the beauty that is all around us. So thanks for looking up at some things and for looking some things up here a while. It is Monday where I'm at, so if it's early in the week for you too, wish you a beautiful week ahead. More importantly, a gorgeous now. And as always, I wish you tremendous peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.